When I inherited my grandfather's old house, I didn't think much of it. It was just a tired, sagging building on the edge of a quiet rural town. The kind of place where the wind sounds like breathing, and the walls have their own memory. Grandpa died alone here. No one found him for 3 days. The coroner said it was natural causes, but the way the neighbors talked made it sound anything but natural. I moved in at the start of fall. The trees around the property leaned inward like they were trying to whisper something to me. The first few days were normal, dusting, unpacking, fixing old pipes. But by the 5th night I realized something was wrong. It started around 2:47 a.m. A faint whispering sound woke me, like someone talking through a wall. At first I thought maybe I'd left a window open and the wind was catching the curtains. But when I got up, the air was still, dead quiet. Then I heard it again, the voices. Not loud, just beneath hearing, like a prayer being said in another room. I followed the sound through the dark hallway, barefoot, holding my phone light low. When I reached the end, it had stopped. I almost laughed at myself. Then I realized where it had come from. Under the floor. I knelt down, pressing my ear to the old wood. And that's when I froze. It wasn't one voice. It was many. Men, women, children, all whispering together in a slow, rhythmical hum. Not random words, and something repeated, over and over again. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my skull. I told myself it had to be pipes or some weird echo. But deep down I knew no pipe could sound like that. The next morning I ripped up part of the carpet in the living room. The floorboards underneath were older than the rest of the house, almost blackened with age. But there was something else. Carvings. Dozens of strange symbols burned into the wood. Circles, triangles, some that looked like eyes, some like human figures. And one phrase carved deeply into the corner. "We hear you too." That night I couldn't sleep. Every tick of the clock felt louder. When 1:30 a.m. hit, the voices came again, earlier this time. They were clearer now, and one voice rose above the rest. It said my name. The sound of it, my own name, whispered from beneath me and made my skin crawl. I jumped up, grabbed my flashlight, and ran to the living room. The boards were trembling slightly, as if something underneath was breathing. Then 3 knocks. Soft, polite, deliberate, from under the floor. I backed away, too scared to scream. The air was colder than before, and filled with that smell again. Wet earth. Freshly dug soil. I couldn't stay there. I ran to my car and waited till sunrise. The next morning I called my mom. When I mentioned the whispers, she went quiet. Then in a shaking voice she said, "Your grandfather used to say the same thing. He said the house listens. He used to talk to it." "What do you mean talk to it?" I asked. But she hung up. Later that day I went to see the landlord, an old man named Briggs who'd managed the property for decades. I asked him, "Do you know anything about this place, about who built it?" He frowned. "That house, built over an old church foundation, burned down sometime in the 20s. They said it was cursed. Something about unmarked graves beneath it." I felt my stomach twist. "Unmarked graves," I repeated. He nodded. "Your grandfather always said he heard them too. Thought he was losing his mind." That night I went back. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted proof I wasn't crazy. I pried up the first floorboard with a crowbar. The smell hit me instantly, on soil, iron, rot. And then I saw it. A ring, gold engraved, still on a finger. There were bones, small ones, dozens of them, arranged in a circle around a stone altar no bigger than a shoebox. Inside that altar was a jawbone, and someone had carved the same words again. "We hear you too." That's when my flashlight flickered, and the whispering started again. But this time it wasn't under the floor. It was behind me. I turned slowly. Every light in the house went out at once, and in that pitch darkness I heard the boards start to shift, like something was crawling up through them. I ran for the door. It slammed shut before I could reach it. The whispering turned into a hiss, and then a voice, a single broken whisper right next to my ear. "Welcome home." The next thing I remember is waking up in my car, parked miles away from that house, covered in dirt from head to toe. When I went back the next morning, the house was gone, completely collapsed overnight. The police said the foundation had given way, but when I looked through the debris, there was one thing untouched, a single floorboard lying in the grass. Carved into it were the words, "You moved, but we still hear you."